Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We start the session. The topic is AI for Society. For this, we have our moderator, Mr. Nishit Pathak, who is the Global Chief Technologist for Emerging Technologies Analytics, DXC Technology. May I have Mr. Pathak on the dais, please? Then we have our keynote address by Ms. Anna Roy, Senior Advisor, Niti Yog. May I have you on the desk, please, ma'am? Our special address is by Dr. Anita Gupta. She is from Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology. She is the head of NSTEDB. May I have you on the desk, please? I would like to hand over the mic to you, sir, to conduct the session. Yes.
So, thank you so much. Good afternoon, Ms. Anna. Susanna, good afternoon, Anita ji. So the theme which we are talking about is AI for society. And if you look on AI or artificial intelligence, it has already, affected our day-to-day life, right? If you are using Google search, you are using AI. If you are doing some sort of uh, prediction, you are using stuff. You are also using AI on our day-to-day stuff. Even some of the work on AI, we are using AI for managing some of the work in terms of stuff. But in fact, if we go beyond it, apart from the industries, AI has great calibrations to affect the society. And that is what we are going to talk about. So there are two things that we are really going to talk about as such. Number one, we are going to talk about how AI is affecting, in terms of the formulation from Niti Aayog, in terms from Mrs. Anna Roy, and also with Anita ji, we are also going to talk about what are the National Science and Department is trying to play out on AI and what are the measures that they are trying to take out. So, with taking no more of time, can you, I'll just went out to some of the questions that we should ask out. So, the first question to Anna ji is, can you share something about, how Niti Aayog is trying to adopt AI in a longer run?
Thank you and good afternoon to all the audience and to the organizers. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Basically, in 2018, Niti Aayog came out with a strategy on AI where the focus was on AI for social good. And that's why the tagline in the strategy was AI for all, and we coined the term AI for all, basically trying to underline the need for using the technology, not for development of technology per se, but how that technology can help us in meeting the unique challenges which the country faces. So, AI for all, basically the technology, besides talking about the ecosystem, also focused on the sectors which needed a more boost. It was noticed that in some sectors, the financial sector, the bottom line approach will drive the development and adoption, but in sectors like health, education, agriculture, which are characterized more by public goods, there the government needs to take the driving seat, not only in promotion of research in the area, but also in adoption of the technology. So I would say that from the very beginning, Niti Aayog has been focusing on how policies can be brought about in towards identifying the potential of this technology for greater good, and identifying the sectors where it can be adopted. In addition to that, we also undertake several pilot projects in these sectors to highlight the implementation challenges which would be faced in adopting this new technology, because development is one part. Adoption, I think, has bigger challenges, especially in a country like India. So, through various pilot projects which we are presently implementing, we learn a lot about the implementation challenges. We try to document it, And when I talk about AI, it cannot be seen, distinct from other technologies like blockchain, IoT, robotics, cloud. All these form part of the IR, and we have been working even in these areas. And in blockchain, we have successfully completed 3 pilot projects, and based on the learnings, we have also come out with a strategy document which talks about the various challenges, the potential for ease of improving ease of living, ease of doing business. So these are the various ways in which we are trying to explore the use of this technology and how to promote the adoption. Thank you.
I think very nicely said, Anaji. And I think 2 key points that I really take out is AI adoption is not going to be symmetrical on all the industries. So there are certain industries or sectors which are going to adopt it much more faster than way, and there are certain industries which are going to take it a little way, which is really good. And you talked about talking about AI for good and AI for all, and you also talk about that you are also, Niti Aayog is been really prominent on speaking about, investing something on sectors like healthcare and other stuff, and you are talking about some of the pilot projects. Can you just share a little bit more insights about what are the pilot projects that you have undertaken and the impact and the outcome that they have brought it out to the society?
There are several pilot projects, primarily in the health sector, and some are also in agriculture. They are at different stages. Some are already in the implementation stage, where a couple of phases have been completed. Others are at the conception stage. Some are about to be launched. So, when you talk about AI, or for that matter, any of the new technologies which you face today, which form part of the IR, the Industrial Revolution 4.2 bouquet of technologies, these are all cyber physical. So, basically, bringing digital into the physical world. Here, what we try to focus on is not only implementation of the AI tool, for which we have this project on diabetic retinopathy, where the tool has globally been developed. But we also need to validate the tools which have been developed on the population, the Indian population. We need to see whether the tools have been developed keeping our population in mind, because it is all a matter of data. Tools which are developed based on Caucasian data cannot be successfully implemented in India. So, diabetic retinopathy is one such project which we are implementing on the ground in aspirational district. The second thing is how AI in can be used in delivery of services at the ground level, say ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers. So for that, a decision support system has been developed, and now in UP it is being implemented. It has 2 phases are already over. They are presently closing the second phase. So that is basically will not only streamline the services provided by the health workers on the ground, but also collect data, give visibility, help in policy making, evidence-based policy making, will ensure that all the guidelines which are codified in the medical sphere are actually being adhered to, and there are no lapses, and basically overcome the human error bit of it. Then our AIIMS has also developed IMD, which is essentially a data collection thing, and ease of providing these services at the ground level. We have connected that with the cloud, so whatever data we will collect through this IMD, this is basically a chair, and if you sit in that chair, around 40 parameters can be captured without any doctor or any senior physician being in contact with the patient. So a technician can manage it. So basically it helps early detection, and it helps in a early review of these the people at the field level, say as a CHC or a PHC. That is the second one, actually the third one. And in agriculture, on various pilots where the tools have been developed, we are working with various state governments on grading of grains, on price determination. Several other such tools are being implemented at the moment.
I think fantastic. Some of the use cases are very fantastic, and I'm really delighted that you are sharing it out to the public so that people are really aware about what are the really modes. So I'll just go, talk to Anita ji as well, right? So Anita ji, can you share some of the stuff you are doing on Department of Science and Technology in terms of what are the areas that you are majorly focusing on, and then we'll take up.
So, thank you, Richi. Let me just give an overview. DST being a primarily R&D funding body, extramural funding body across Government of India, what we have highlighted in terms of rolling out our strategy for adoption of AI starts from knowledge generation, building capabilities of institutions, our researchers, scientists, in terms of coming out with inventions. Then at the innovation level, how do we connect the challenges into new opportunities that is rolled out by our startup? So a complete value chain of knowledge, invention, innovation, development and deployment and commercialization that encompasses our work within the DST. So let me dwell a bit about the way DST has a dedicated vertical on futuristic and new frontiers of technology where you can say interdisciplinary cyber physical system is a dedicated arm of that particular vertical, and they have come out with supporting technology innovation hubs and primarily catering to building capabilities in terms of creating right set of infrastructure which is required to boost the R&D in entire AI domain, and this includes all top-notch institutions, our technical institutions of excellence, all IITs inclusive, ICERs, triple ITs. 25 of them have been funded with in the tune of 125 to 150 CR, creating state-of-the-art robust infrastructure in those institutions. So where I think close to 3,000 CR have been invested.
Okay.
Okay, so that brings the enhancing the capabilities at the institution level, and also then rolling out the projects which India may be requiring in terms of building capabilities. As I was just reading through the statistics, as far as the paper publication goes in this domain, India is amongst the top 10, which is dominated primarily by China and US, but India is also catching up pretty fast, and many our Indian researchers find place in the top-notch, and that is the research R&D piece. Then building upon the way startups have really come out with adopting to AI-based solutions, and these, as Dr. Anna has already highlighted, it cuts across various domains, not only from the industrial sector which are quick to adopt, even at the sectors which is like right from the agriculture. I have so many success stories in Tello Labs, which is primarily into grading the quality of the produce.
Okay.
That has really caught the attention of VCs also. They have raised close to $9 million, and their clients are marquee clients like Reliance Fresh, and also they are making good in terms of using AI for grading of the produce, and then arriving at a pricing strategy, demanding a premium for the good quality product. So agri is one. Education, we find now we are in completely education has seen the kind of transformation during COVID times.
Okay.
And you name, healthcare has been the biggest gainer, blessing in disguise. And we rolled out a program, Kavach, exactly a year back, with the 5 thematic areas, and be it diagnostics, be it like informatics solutions, be it patient monitoring, contactless patient monitoring. We had, I think, close to 20 odd solutions which were AI driven, which were funded by us in the tune of 30 lakhs to 1.5 CR. And I am happy to share one of the company today PM after a year is going for a Bangladesh visit. So under that particular program, Kavach, Huvel Life Sciences is actually striking a commercial deal, as a part of tech transfer with a Bangladeshi company
Right.
in the area of diagnostics. So startups are adopting and really using AI to hit upon multiple sectors, and these sectors, since DST is sector agnostic, we see a lot of value where they can really transform the way businesses are being done and enhancing, bringing speediness in their decision making wherever it is required. Whether it's an X-ray, you interpret the as X-ray. It cannot obviously replace the human. It is an added tool.
So I think my question around it, I think you are, I think science and technology, but while you mentioned out doing a lot of things, if you consider the challenges, right? There are numerous challenges that the government is facing out, right? And the startups needs those challenges to be addressed, and in order to resolve it, if somehow Department of Science can be a bridge maker between the challenges as well as the startup, I think nothing beat it. And AI for society, in fact, that the theme can really be bundled about when we really take out some of the challenges on stuff out. You talked about a program called Kavach, as well as I heard about the Nidhi program, which was a really instrumental about a fellowship stuff. Can you share a little bit more detail about it?
Yeah, so Nidhi, which stands for National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovation, was rolled out aligned with our National Initiative for Startup India, Stand Up India way back in 2016, and we figured out the missing pieces in the entire innovation to market development chain. And one of the critical piece was there was no funding available from the government side. If anyone has a good idea, how does he or she translate into working prototype? And that's how we came with a Prayas program. And another was the many students who look for obviously after a degree or when they graduate out for jobs as a part of their campus placement, but they are bubbling with some sort of an idea which may find value in terms of commercial viability. They are addressing and attempting to solve a very pertinent problem, but because of various pressures they just leave the idea in between. So we had this fellowship program, entrepreneur residence program, and these two programs have really filled the void in terms of generating the quality pipeline for startups. A lot of intellectual property has been generated, and many innovations, I must say 20% are based on AI and emerging area of technologies like mother diagnostics and Cradlewise, which is all IoT. See, because as Anna has already highlighted, AI has a 5-6 components, and each of the startup, whether it's a machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, or its neural networks, or its cognitive computing, or its natural language processing, everyone is figuring out way to deploy and add value to their offering. So value addition becomes a critical piece for any startup. And just to dwell, Nidhi seed support is a very critical component which enables any startup to do the enhance from their technology readiness level from from 3 to at least 6. So we are working on and supporting at least 1/3 of our incubator portfolio of 150 are equipped with the seed support, and it is biggest support system which we offer apart from other funding and other value added service offerings from our side. And we have also already started big way engaging with industry now.
Very nice. And since I'm coming from the industry, and it's so imperative to see that there are such phenomenal actions which has been taken to foster the digital India concept in terms of it. And Dr. Anna, you really mentioned about AI is so good, but it becomes magical when it combines with other technologies like IoT and blockchain and other stuff. And I know that Niti Aayog has been really instrumental in formulating some of the policies beneath it. Can you share some more information about? I think a lot of people have a little bit vague about what exactly is the future of blockchain in India. What exactly is the future of cryptocurrency in India? Can you share a little bit more detail about it as such from Niti Aayog?
No, as of now on cryptocurrency, I will not like to say anything. On blockchain, as I said, we have done several pilot projects. So, blockchain is not really the panacea for all ills. And in the part one of our strategy, we did bring out a kind of a matrix which shows that in what situations blockchain should be adopted and where it may not be the suitable technology. And the idea that everywhere blockchain can be deployed is not really correct. There are also costs involved. So, a lot of things need to be seen while deploying blockchain. But there are certain use cases, especially in the supply chain area, where we have found its usefulness to be pretty good. The other thing is, awareness for the technology. While we talk about the technology, we must also understand the various contours of the technology, its potential, what it really can do. Without a full awareness of the technology, we can also, run the risk of advising on certain things which may not be in order. So, blockchain is one such thing. It has several misnomers and several misunderstandings as well. So, in part one of our strategy, we have tried to demystify the technology and shown how it can be used for greater good, basically, how it can be used in the governance system.
And I think fairly enough, I think which is fair point, which I personally feel out, blockchain, people try to correlate a lot with cryptocurrency as such, but blockchain is certainly one of the technology which is changing the way we trust in the system. And certainly supply chain is one of the phenomenal places where we can certainly apply. And I have seen some of the areas where, DT Aayog and government have taken some sort of initiative on the supply chain. But there's one question I think which probably, I want to ask out for both of you in terms of it. Like, there has been a pandemic time, and pandemic has created really a situation which is something which was unquestionably affected our day-to-day life. Work from home has become a new normal now. I want to ask, I think this question first of all with Dr. Anita and then with Dr. Roy. How's your team supporting during COVID times?
Okay, so I must say that it was really a revelation for us the way government adopted to the new normals very swiftly. I can recall the similar phase of the time in the fag end of March, and my team, because of the Kavach, was rolled out in a very shortest span of time with no proposal, and how we really reached out to our prospective implementing arms like IIT Bombay to figure out what would be, how does the whole proposal look like, what would be the SOPs, whether we will get, because in those times there were no indigenous solutions, you call it indigenous diagnostic kits, to indigenous ventilators. Arogya Setu was rolled out as the first app in a very shortest span. So, but we had an army of our incubators, and this was a testing time for all of us in the entire ecosystem, and everyone rose to the occasion because everyone realized the enormity of the challenge and the kind of crisis. No one knew how long it is going to last.
Right.
And when we rolled out, we thought it will subside and it will flatten in a 6 months of time, but still we are grappling with this whole crisis. But a lot has gone in, and the way we rolled out, MyLab was the first diagnostic kit which GST supported, and through Kavach in a span of 3 months time, and we rolled out in first week of April. We figured out and it was the ingenuity of our startups. They could quickly pivot. There were some startups with entirely different domains. Like I could cite, one was in the robotic-based solar panel cleaning. IIT Kanpur group, they quickly pivoted to see this challenge and convert into a big business opportunity. So all has happened, and they really learned the hard way in a very quickest fashion, swiftly adopted to new normals, and I think startups 11 unicorns in pandemic times,
No, I think
no better times.
and well said. And challenges brings new opportunities. And what you are trying to say is a lot of startups has adopted during the pandemic times, and we have seen some of the initiatives
Yeah,
from the
so
science and technologies as such.
Agility was full in display.
Right,
Only
indeed.
that's-
So, Dr. Roy, tell us how Niti Aayog, perceived COVID, and what are the actions that they have taken in order to, swiftly adopt during the pandemic times like COVID.
I think it was the foresightedness of the government and especially our Prime Minister to focus on the digital space that we were so well prepared. So, all our filing is now digitized. There are, at least in Niti, we do not have any physical files. So, post pandemic, it was not that difficult to work from home because everything was digital. Secondly, the technology and the digital infrastructure also enabled us to, have virtual meetings. So I think we were all very well prepared to meet the pandemic. The government also came up quickly with guidelines, whether for work within the government or to enable the work in other sectors. Say for the IT sector, the METI quickly brought out the guidelines which enabled work from home for the IT sector. So I think the government took very timely and good decisions to ensure that the hardship of the uh, pandemic, is kind of relieved and the economy does not really suffer. Though, it like there was bound to be economic slowdown because not, all work cannot be done from home. For you have to go to your workplace and many of the things. So that was bound to happen, but we are already seeing green shoots, and I feel we are it is kind of behind us now. And the other things, Dr. Anita Gupta referred to Arogya Setu, that was brought out in a record time. And in a record time, I think it was only the second app which had, the way it had people adopting the app. It helped in identifying hotspots. It helped in, addressing doubts of the people. So Arogya Setu was one very opportune decision of the government. Several other, for the drones, because drones were being used. So very quickly the regulations were changed for drone to enable ease the use of drones in several situations. So there are a long list of such measures which the government took both to enable work within the government and outside the government. I think we are looking at the benefits of all of that with a very renewed recovery in the economy now in the last quarter.
No, I think phenomenal. And as I always say, as we always have heard of, that data is a new oil for an organization, and data brings a lot of insights. And Arogya Setu is one of really a great example, which brought us great insights, identifying the hotspot and the usage of drones. One of the questions that I have,
Nishit,
and
I would
I think,
like to add on supplement
yeah,
what Anna
please,
has said, if you
please,
permit.
please.
As everyone knows, Arogya Setu has been much talked about now. With this biggest vaccination drive, which India is proud to be. I think they are number 2 in terms of the vaccination, which is the pace which is going on. With the COVID kind of app, like digitization has been the backbone of all
Correct.
these rollouts. And I just read one message from the person Nandan Nilekani, who was the brain behind our Aadhaar card
Yes.
initiative, which has been greatly linked and intertwined with all these rollouts of whether it's Arogya Setu or COVID. India is the only country when we get the vaccine, the jab, we get the digital certificate.
Right.
And in US, they are getting on papers. So
Yeah.
that is the way we really adopted, and I've been part of the highest level committee when we're really examining all aspects of this COVID taking toll from the scientific perspective driven by PSA and Niti Aayog member on health, Dr. Paul, and I could see the whole government machinery working and like considering what is happening globally and quickly, swiftly adapting to new policy changes. And that's how we are today being able to deal with it and navigate the entire crisis. So hats off to the combined with the total shared vision and the purpose we all work together, and industry included and all stakeholders included. It has been our biggest showcase of how collaborative model could address to any crisis which has lot of uncertainties built into it. Still
So
we are
you believe me, I'm coming from the industry background, and when I'm hearing some of the technology perceives that both of you are talking, it's just creating a lot of interest that how government is adopting, and you are sharing some of the stuff about behind the scene activities as such on what are the stuff and the use cases. I have one last questions to both of you, and then we probably will ask audience to have any questions if they have before we sum up. One of the things that AI, Dr. Roy, in terms of artificial intelligence, some of the examples that you have talked about is really phenomenal, and the usage of drones makes sense within the areas of urban areas. But how you are seeing the adoption of artificial intelligence, or how AI for society is trying to drive in the rural areas as such?
I already said that some of the pilots, major pilots, are being rolled out in rural areas. One is in Bharej, Moga district. So, health, education, and agriculture, these are all rural. Our focus is in the rural and tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Okay. And Dr. Nidhi, Dr. Anita, if you really want to speak about what are some things that you have taken for rural areas in terms of the adoptions?
So if you are already aware, the way Industry 4.0 has is the buzzword, now it's Society 5.0, where AI has to be adopted for all societal goods. So even Japan has come out with this new jargon, and cutting across all sectors of society, because AI ultimately, when it leads to the faster adoption, is how ethical, how accountable, how responsible the AI happens to be. So in terms of, I can really talk about with confidence from the kind of solutions which are coming and being generated by our innovators and startup group perspective, because they are addressing the real life challenges which society is facing. Be it in terms of the education, I came across a solution which was actually triggered by in an event by Professor Dr. Devi Shetty, and he highlighted the need for coming out with AI solutions for, even if it's a robotic based deliveries where the contact is not required, and suppose one is confined in a containment zone, and I could see that particular startup has done some pilot, and it is being exhibited in this exhibition. And in a span of, say, the event was in December, and as I speak, in 3 months, if you are coming out with a prototype which has application. So in terms of whatever you develop, if you take user on board right at the drawing board stage, the confidence and the you can say the adoption of that particular solution will enhance greatly, and time to hit the market will be really shortened. So whatever solutions in terms of AI as a backbone one is adopting to, you have to take the end customer in confidence and involve them in your entire solution strategy before it is rolled out, and you can then cover up a lot of challenges and apprehensions beforehand.
I think all I can say that this is presumably a new India as such, which we are thinking of, and the adoption of technologies like AI, blockchain, and Industry 4.0 in terms of the holistic approach, and the scalable and the massive adoption while the government is doing it out is really massive. We have few minutes. If there is any audience, if somebody asks to have any questions to our panel speakers, please go ahead and ask out.
Very good afternoon. My question is to
No,
Anna.
can you just introduce yourself?
I'm Surbhi Seth, and I'm currently working at India Trade Promotion Organization, and I used to work as a young professional at Niti Aayog, so an admirer of Anna ma'am. My question is that ma'am, a very simple question, that how important do you think is the role of AI in bringing about equity and equitable distribution of resources? And how important is the private sector's role in this? Because of course the government wants to drive equitable distribution of resources and help as many, as you said, most of the pilot projects are in rural areas. So how important is the private sector's role in bringing about this equity and equitable distribution of AI to resources?
Thank you, Surbhi, and I hope you are doing well in ITPO. So basically, I think this is the IR 4.0 as the industrial revolution, which we refer to it, is, in my view, is something which is really kind of, tailor-made to meet the aspirations of our people who suffer because of access barriers, who suffer because of not resources not being there, whether it's health, education. So here is this technology which is not very heavy investment, sunk investment requirement, which can reach to the very remote corners of the country. So for a country like India, I think this is one technology which can help us overcome the access barrier in various sectors, help us uplift the social indicators of our population. And then private sector is crucial, because in a country so diverse and big, government initiatives, no matter how noble they are and how big or in scale and diversity they may be, the last mile has to be done by the private sector. It has to be done by the startups. Private sector role not only in developing the core technology is important, because private sector knows the buzz in what is required, and they also bring in the incentives, the structure which the government unfortunately cannot, and government is a monolith. It takes a lot of time to move. So private sector will play the main role in developing and deploying and adoption. Government, in my view, will be more an enabler in this entire ecosystem. Thank you.
No, I think this is great, and our honorable Prime Minister has talked a lot about minimum governance and maximum output, and this is just one of the examples, Dr. Roy, you have spoken about. I have an option for just one more question that I can take out. So anyone from audience who want to have any extra questions as such? Great. Thank you, Dr. Anna Roy, Dr. Anita. It was pleasure to know about it, to hear about some of the initiatives that Niti Aayog and Department of Science and Education has taken. And phenomenally, for me, there are a lot of takeaways. And coming from the industry, I'm really thrilled about the futures that lies ahead. Certainly, all I can say that this is New India, and thank you so much for taking all the initiatives for us.
Thank you, the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, before we close the session, we have a memento ceremony. I would request our director, EI Group, Mr. Dhruv Bahl, he is also the editor, AutoX, to give away mementos. We start with the lady, Ms. Anna Roy, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog. Dr. Anita Gupta, she is head NSTDB, DOT. Thank you, ma'am, for your presence. And last but not the least, our moderator, sir, you moderated beautifully. Thank you so much. A small token of appreciation from us.